Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and today we're going to continue working on the 680, getting it ready to be road registered. So today the plan is to keep going on a lot of the bits and pieces I need to do to get this car engineered and legal for Australian roads. But before I do that, I had some big wins over the weekend. As many of you guys know, I've been working on the wiring in the background because it's really slow. It doesn't make for entertaining videos. It's quite difficult to sort of go through the whole process. So I'll just take you through what I've done so far. So all this under here may look like an horrendous mess, and it is. The issues I had is that I look for wiring diagrams for this column that I've got, which I believe is out of a 260Z, and none of the wire colors actually match up to what they're supposed to. But I finally have working column. So I have headlights, they all work, headlights. I still have a switch here for the high beams. This stalk, I'm not sure if it's actually going to work as high-low beams, but I have indicators that work properly. I have indicators, I have tail lights, and the most important thing, the most difficult thing that I had to deal with is I actually have working windscreen wipers. So the wipers were actually particularly difficult, mostly because none of the wires were matching colors, nothing added up. So I had to track down and work out how the switch actually worked, and then work out what wires actually go to the wiper motor. And the other thing is that most electrical motors would require a positive, negative, and then they work. With the wiper motor, because it's got a parking signal so that it stops the motors at the base every time it goes off, you actually have to sort of connect two wires together, and then it's negatively switched circuit as well, which adds extra complexity that I wasn't aware of straight away. So after some research and some headache and some hair pulling, I have my wiring done. The only things I've got left is the horn and reverse lights, and that's easy. So that is a big win, finally. That's something else I just changed. I should have done it ages ago, but I just went down to Supercheap and ordered a new gas strut. It's changed the mounting slightly. It's put these little ball mounts on it, but I now have a hatch that stays up by itself. How good is that? But the main reason I'm in the back is not because of a replaced gas strut. It's actually because I need to continue on working on the charcoal canister I fitted last week. As you saw, I connected it up the front end to vacuum to the engine and to the fuel return line, and that is, I'm just using the return line as a hard line to get down to the back of the car without having to put a whole new line in. But now what I have to do is I actually have to connect it up to the fuel tank, and what I'm going to do is this hose here that's coming through the back, it actually feeds around and connects up to the side of the fuel tank filler tube, and that is the breather for the excess gases and stuff inside the tank. And instead of just plumbing it up here so that basically it's just connected up to the overflow, I'm going to disconnect it and connect it up to that fuel return line. So first thing is disconnecting it from here, blocking that pipe up, and then getting it somehow connected up to my fuel return line. So I've taken my fuel breather hose and wrapped it around the outside of the tank. It's going to wrap all the way around and tuck back around towards where the fuel return line is. I realise in my disorganisation that I haven't actually got the fittings to step it down from the big tank breather hose down to the fuel return line hose size. The return line's only a tiny line, but it's just sucking vapours. It's via vacuum from the engine, obviously, so that should be more than enough to do the job there. So I'm going to leave that now, but I'll show you what else I need to do while I've got the car up in the air. All right, so moving on, one thing I will address, I've had lots of people commenting saying that I should give up the tuning I was trying to do on the carbies up top and just plug in an O2 sensor. I do have the bung here for it, and that is something that will be used once you've got it running better. But because the carbies are completely separating every cylinder, so every cylinder does something different, just tuning it with an O2 sensor is not going to work. It's fine if you've got one big manifold, then all of the air is shared, and in theory, hopefully it should be reasonably even. In this case, you can have one cylinder that's running really rich and one cylinder that's running really lean. The O2 sensor will see a nice balanced stoichiometric reading, which is not going to be correct. So you have to go through and tune every cylinder separately, which is why I'm going to do it on the dyno now and just get it done properly. But while I'm under here, the issue that was brought up to me by the engineer, and also it's something that I think I need for myself and my sanity as well, is that this car is too loud. So what I've done is I've gone and got myself a hot dog. This is these generally are supposed to just sort of change the sound of the car, but hopefully it will quieten it down a bit. I got a nice big long one. I suppose this is probably 450 mil, something like that. I'm guessing 1.5 foot, 18 inches, whatever you want to call it. The issue I do have though is that this tube is running quite close to the body of the car, and I can't just weld this in line because it's gonna touch everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this from the car, and I'm going to weld it offset. So that is going to be my big job for today. So let's start unbolting this exhaust, and I'll just sort of mark it up a bit, and then we can start looking at how we fit a hot dog and quieten this thing down a little bit. Okay, so the exhaust is off the car, and it's time to start looking at how I'm going to fit my hot dog. Now, the way I'm going to do it is I'm actually going to use this bend, and I'm going to section it and then cut a second section and flip it around the other way, so it'll sort of curve up to the hot dog and then curve back down to the regular exhaust. So keeping it roughly in a straight line, just doing it with sectioning this radius. Now, to work out how far I need to section this radius, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how much thicker this hot dog is than the standard 2.5 inch pipe that I've got, and then work out where on the bend I need to cut it to get enough curve to get it out. So I don't want to go in crazy, big bends. I just want just enough to just make it clear and join back up again. That's the aim. So let's start sort of measuring out and piecing together, and I'll show you what I mean. So you can see what I've done here. I've cut out a couple of different curved pieces and I've taped them up into place. I've set up my my hot dog. I've actually raised it just off of the bench so that I actually have, I've got plenty of offset there. I've also got my right angle here, so you can actually see that I have a nice square setup. I'm going to go around now, get the TIG welder out and start practicing my TIG welding again and see if I can tack this stuff together. All right, so I started to get a little bit carried away and started welding. I like this stuff because it's nice and thick, so I can really get in there and practice my TIG welding. That I'm happy enough with. That seems like it's reasonably good. But before I go too far, I should actually only be tacking this up and then trial fitting it all, because chances are I might have to make this again. But I think I'm right on this bit anyway, but we'll try cutting off one end, and then I'll probably try and sort of fit it up in the car and tack it together in the car, and then bring it back out onto the bench and weld it up together totally. So time to cut up my nice exhaust that I already made previously. All right, I've spent ages playing around getting this square and level and straight, and hopefully this is in the right spot and it's still going to give me clearance, but the only way to check it is to give it a test. So I'm going to nip this together, tack it together, whatever you call it, and get it in the car and try it out and see how we go. Well, that is disappointing. To get this set up, this fits nicely with the, there was already a curve on this piece, so I just cut the straight off, and that sits perfectly just along there. There's plenty of room there, but it's too close back here where I had to do that adjustment the other week. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to add some more bends in here to actually get it to fit. So that means cutting apart the tacks that I did and adding a little bit more in and see if we can get it the way it should be. Well, I just learned how hard it is to TIG weld when you don't have the gas on. Yeah, that made an ugly mess, and yeah, everything got really hot really quick. I can see why you definitely need gas, particularly with TIG welding. All right, well, that is all tacked up now, and it's actually, I've got plenty of clearance. There's at least sort of 15 mil all the way around. Only issue is that this front little lip, I think, is actually the lowest point of the car, which is not great. So that's the bit that's going to hit first. Thinking about it, I can't leave this as being the lowest point of the car. That's going to hit. As soon as I go over anything low, it's going to hit. It's going to rip the headers out. It's just not good enough, which is a pain because this is taking me all day, but I'm going to have to change the angle of this end as well. I'm really happy with how the back end fits. It's really good, but I'm going to have to do something about this because that's not going to work. Okay, a bunch of messing around. This is all just being held in place, but I've had a look and it's now no longer the lowest part of the car. It's actually hidden up. It's pretty close to level with the sort of the frame rails, but that's pretty good as far as I'm concerned. So now I'm going to tack it up, turning the gas on this time, and hopefully I can just pull it out and weld it. That's the plan. All right, so you can see all my dodgy welds and that it's all bent up out of the way. It's tucked up nicely. If we can get a bit of an angle shot at it, you can see there that it's not the lowest point of the car. So now it's time to pull it out and weld it all solid. Well, that is some really hideous welding. Definitely, I am learning more as I go, but this is a great thing to practice on. It's low risk. There's not a lot of issues involved with this. The welding is not under a huge amount of stress, so I'm not too worried about strength. For those of you who are concerned that I don't back purge this, Benny doesn't agree with wasting gas on back purging this stuff either and doesn't bother with it. Yes, you can. Yes, it does make the weld better. For those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, back purging is basically where you block up the ends of the pipe and feed in another lot of argon gas into the pipe. So what it does is it seals the weld on the inside as well as the outside. The main thing is you just use a lot more gas, and it's not really necessary. If you were going to do something like in a turbo system, for example, where it's going to be plumbed back into the inlet of the engine, then 100% yes, you need to back purge your welds, because what happens is on the inside you get what's called sugaring, where you can potentially have like little shards of metal that are inside your weld, inside the pipe, that can break off and travel and get into the engine, which is bad news. In this case, any sugaring that is more than likely going on, lots of it going on in here, is just going to break off and just go out the exhaust. It's not going to damage anything. And yes, the welds are not as strong, but they're plenty strong enough for what my purpose is here. So I am happy with this hideous mess. I'm going to now stick it back up under the car, and yeah, that will finally, hopefully, have quietened this down. All I need is 5 decibels. Although 5 decibels is quite a bit, but hopefully that does enough. We'll see. Well, that is all in, and it's proof that my welds are decent, because you might have seen it fell on the ground and dropped, and I had to sort of re-straighten one of the tips, but it's all fine. Everything stayed together. Nothing seems to have suffered any injuries, and there's plenty of space behind the resonator now, and also there's yeah, it's sitting up nice and high, tucked up underneath the car. I am very happy with that, but it's taken me all day, which is, yeah, a lot more work on this one little thing than I was hoping, but I've got some more practice on TIG welding, which I desperately need, and yeah, and hopefully that's quietened it down, but I am definitely out of time. So as always, please like, subscribe, follow us on Patreon, check out the new merch down below, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, thanks guys.